There is growing anxiety over the crisis in Ukraine tonight as Vladimir Putin flexes his military muscle. Earlier today, the Kremlin gave the green light for more troops in Crimea. The mostly ethnic Russians in the area are applauding the move. But Crimea is part of Ukraine, and that country is politically split. U.S. President Barack Obama tonight called on Russia to withdraw its forces. But Putin says he has to look out for Russia's interests. We'll get to world reaction in a moment, but we begin tonight in Ukraine's capital and our Paul Johnson. Paul?
Robin, here in Kiev's Independence Square, some bigger crowds than what we've seen the past couple of nights as people gather to react to this news out of Moscow, which they are receiving as a very grave threat.
Ukrainians feared the gunmen who showed up yesterday at airports and government buildings were an advance guard for a larger Russian invasion force. Today's news appears to confirm that, with Vladimir Putin getting permission from his parliament to use his military here, which Ukrainians and much of the West would likely see as an act of war. Rallying for the Russian side, these Tartars are presumably some of the people Putin says he needs to protect in the Crimean Peninsula, where a large Russian-speaking population appears to reject the new government in Kiev. Crimea's newly appointed pro-Moscow leader today assumed full control of the government here. I've decided to temporarily take control of all national forces, he says. Those who disagree, please resign. So just how dangerous is it for ethnic Russians right now in Ukraine? Here in the very seat of the revolution in Kiev's Independence Square, we met a number of them tonight, and none of them said they were afraid. This man showed us his Russian passport and says he thinks the problem is that Ukraine is losing the information war in Russia. This Russian woman says she lived in Crimea for 20 years and that Putin should pull his forces out. In Kiev tonight, the Ukrainians and Russians we met had one thing in common: worry about what Moscow will do next.
The situation is awful because Ukraine is an independent country. We can't have such a situation like this time.
My real reaction is a shock.
Robin, one of the speakers who climbed up on the stage tonight had some advice for Ukrainians on how to react to this news out of Moscow, and what he says is that people should remain calm and should remain peaceful. And if they don't respond to this provocation that they see coming from Russia, he said, then Vladimir Putin can't win.